Dude, are we ever gonna get off this fucking deserted ice moon? Like, come on.
You know, I have a feeling we're going to get stuck here for like at least another week, maybe two.
It's weeks like this that made me wish I had been born a heater bot.
Kenny, look, a ship. We're saved.
Oh, they got. Wait, is that the Betty?
Hey guys, need some help with the ship?
What, Bob?
Bob? Dude, we thought you died.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I'm not Bob. Bob is fucking dead as hell. I'm his clone, Bob 8.
Oh, yeah, of course. In retrospect,
Makes a lot of sense. You know, we could definitely use some help fixing up our ship, the USCSS podcast. But hey, before we do that, you want to go inside and play some PlayStation? Welcome to Crew Expendable. I am guy who really wishes this video game had a run button, Hallstrom.
I am Quizmaster Rohrbacher.
And I'm the game's missing jump button, Bob 8.
And we're just, I don't have it in me. We played a video game, guys.
We're just a couple of guys that played a video game from the Alien franchise. How's that?
Yeah, that thoroughly and soundly kicked my ass, even with cheat codes.
It sure did.
Bob, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thank you.
We couldn't have done this without you.
I'm glad to be included.
Yeah. We're just going to cut to the chase. We're talking about the Alien Resurrection video game from, what did we decide it came out? The year 2000?
2000.
Yeah, from Argonaut Games and Fox Interactive, a game that we played on a live stream. Kenny and Bob were there as I struggled to play this incredibly frustrating game. And what did we get stuck in, like level 4?
Something like that, yeah.
For way too long, and then we just sort of called it quits. I was like, I'm done.
Also, stuck on level 4, not because we couldn't, keep your player alive. You had cheats on.
I had cheats on. Yeah, I had all the guns. I couldn't die. I could get face hugged. I could die by getting face hugged, right? And that did happen.
It sure did a few times.
But I don't know, man. I didn't know which ladders to go up or down or which ones were which. I had no sense of the geography of the level anymore. And it's a game that wears you down. It grinds you down and makes you rethink everything about your life, everything about video games, what a video game's purpose is, what it should do. I just walked away questioning the medium as a whole, in all honesty.
See, that's wild to me, considering that mostly, for the most part, this game has a generally pretty good reputation.
I don't understand it, but okay. Good for them. I know our friend Tom Dorrington, who, if you watch the live stream, you got to see the debut of our new podcast art. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you're seeing it right now as well. This was like a staple of his childhood, but even he admitted, like, yeah, we were hanging on. Like, once the cheat codes got out in the PlayStation magazines, like, it was like, finally we can make some progress in this thing. Yeah, this game it does kind of have a cult following. I'll be honest, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I do get it a little bit. I mean, they kind of pioneered the modern FPS controls.
Yes. Yeah. The game is credited with the dual stick, like a movement and looking strafing that everything else uses now. Right.
Yeah.
That's a win.
I mean, it does some interesting things, but the game, I mean, difficulty aside, there's just not a lot going on in it.
No,
all of the environments look exactly the same.
Yes, they do. God damn it, do that.
Basically just going point A to point B, looking for like a key card and then tracking back through identical hallways.
Yeah, and getting attacked by xenomorphs and face huggers and military dudes with guns, and that's it. There's only a few enemies in this game, and they just repeat over and over again, right? We're not getting like fun twists on like different styles of xenomorph or anything. It's all pretty standard. And I don't know, the models aren't great. They're not terrible, right? But everything's also really fucking hard to kill, you know?
Yes.
That's true.
It's a, yeah, I don't know how we want to talk about this. Look, you guys know the story. It's the story of Alien Resurrection, right?
It sure is.
Like it basically follows everybody on the Auriga trying to get off the Auriga, right? And get back to the Betty. And it does have all of like the moments from the movie in it. But it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't even know how long this conversation can really be about this game. If we end this after 20 minutes, like we might have done it, you know. We spent a lot of time with this game on the live stream, you know.
Yeah, the game is definitely missing like a sense of urgency that the movie has.
Yes,
and you're like monotonous backtracking through the areas and getting lost
at the most casual fucking pace imaginable.
Right? They did a cool thing with, okay, so if you wanted to get meta with it, you could say that the game is, you know, survival horror in its early stages, and everything looking the same is supposed to give you this sense of like, oh, I'm constantly lost because I can't find my way around the ship because all the hallways look the same.
Right. Yeah.
And that works to a point, but this game is solely frustrating.
Yeah. I'm going to say the nicest thing I can say about this game is it is probably the most accurate depiction of what it would be like if I were stuck on the Auriga during a Xenomorph outbreak. Right. Where, without cheat codes, of course, where I would just be fucking murdered immediately. Like the game succeeds in making you feel like you're in a perilous situation, because I don't think it intends you to get past that first level, honestly.
Yeah, it definitely does a cool thing where it introduces a new, you know, booby trap or something that will kill you without letting you know that it's going to happen.
Yes.
So a lot of times you'll just walk into a room and something will electrocute you or shoot you, or you'll get, you know, attacked by an alien. And you just have to know next time, like, oh, when I go through that door, I'm going to instantly die. So I need to do something different.
Right. I got to figure out how to get this, pick up the pistol from around that electricity and somehow be quicker than the Xenomorph I'm going to meet in the next room that moves 10 times faster than I possibly can.
You know, I've gone on record before on this show about my inability to play games that are in first person. So suffice to say, I did not actually play a whole lot of this game. And listeners of the show might remember that that's the same situation that I was in when we covered Alien Trilogy. I couldn't really play much of that, so I decided to bolster my reason for being on the show by looking up and writing down a whole bunch of interesting trivia tidbits about the game. And lo and behold, I did the same thing for this one.
Is this why you're the quiz master this episode?
That's why I'm the quiz master in this episode. I'm not actually bringing up quizzes, but I do have little factoids that I thought were interesting. And the reason I bring this up is because how you guys are talking about how unrelentingly, insanely difficult the game is. The developers were genuinely surprised to find out how hard everyone thought the game was, because most of the testers were able to beat the entire game using only the pistol. So the developers thought that the game would be dismissed for being too easy when it finally came out.
You're kidding. They didn't do like a last minute, like, oh, let's crank it up a notch, and they got like how Toby Gard got a decimal place wrong and made Lara Croft's boobs way larger than he planned to, but they did it with the Xenomorph aggressiveness. I
don't know what to tell you. That is what he said, though.
Look, was I just trying to figure out a way to bring up Lara Croft's boobs in this episode? Maybe.
Well, it's ironic that you say that, because you would have had another chance, because I will be directly referencing Tomb Raider later on.
Yeah, maybe that's why it was on my mind.
Fair enough.
Maybe I read the same Xenopedia article that you did.
You probably did, yeah. I mean, I didn't just look at Xenopedia, but yes.
I can't imagine that I can't imagine a human being, like even when we were looking up guides, Oh, by the way, shout out to Paul, who also joined us on the live stream, trying to help us navigate that 4th level. When people were looking up guides when we were trying to get through there were disclaimers at the beginning of them, like, this game is so hard, I wasn't able to beat this without cheat codes.
Yeah.
This game has a reputation for being unrelentingly difficult.
Yeah.
How like, is there just like patterns or something that the programmers know? Like,
I have no idea.
I don't think I successfully killed anything with that pistol except like that first like group of like 4 dudes.
Yeah, I don't recall. Yeah,
I wonder if maybe you're just poisoned by years of smooth FPS game playing, that going backwards to this it's harder to play. Maybe at the time this was like the snappiest, fastest game.
Well, yeah, but don't underestimate the amount of time I still to this day spend playing Duke Nukem 3D.
True, yeah.
Like I've played plenty of like older FPS games or Alien Trilogy. You know, I played the shit out of that. I mean, that game's much simpler, right? There's no directional aiming or anything. But like, you can't take a warrior down in that with the pistol. Like, God help you if you have to. It's just, well, game over, man. Right?
That's right.
I don't know, dude. The pistol seemed useless in this, including the level I level skipped to where you play as Christie. And he dual wields pistols.
He sure does.
And I was like, here we fucking go. Still fucking useless. Still a useless weapon, in my opinion. Just, I was happy to see him, though. Happy to see Christie in this game.
Yeah, apparently, over the course of the game, Call, DeStefano, and Christie both have one level where they're the playable character.
Yes,
so
they
that's
do.
Fun.
I believe DeStefano's is like in the security or in the military block or something, and then I think Christie's is the warehouse district or the warehouse section. I don't know what you call it. I don't have a list of levels in front of me because, again, they all are kind of just generic and samey, right?
Yeah, 9 of them are you're on the Auriga. And then the 10th one is you're on the Betty, but it looks exactly like the Auriga.
Yeah. So I did, I'll put, we did this live stream where we got stuck in level 4. I'm going to put a link to that in the episode description. Also earlier today, because I needed to spend more time with this, I did like a brief, like half-hour live stream as well, where I level skipped to try to see some of the iconic scenes from the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I checked out the mess hall section where everything is flooded and underwater. I also checked out the section where Ripley would have fallen into the hive, right? And you encounter the newborn. Mm-hmm. And then I did play the Betty section, and I got the ending of the game, which was honestly all very underwhelming. And like, I don't know how to talk about this game. I don't want to just rip it apart because there are a lot of good ideas in it. I know it had a really troubling sort of development cycle. Hey, Quizmaster Rohrbacher, maybe you've got some info on like the development of this game you might want to get into.
I sure do. I could get into it if no one else had anything interesting they wanted to talk about.
I think now's a good time. Let's get some history on this bad boy, right?
Yeah. All right, well, the developer of the game, which is a company called Argonaut Games,
yes,
made a little game that you may have heard of called Star Fox. What they did was they designed the Super FX like graphics chip that the original Star Fox game used.
Okay.
And then they made Star Fox specifically to be a game that would take advantage of like showing off what the Super FX chip could do. And so that's why Star Fox is the way it is.
Nice.
They also created a game that you may or may not have heard of called Croc Legend of the Gobos.
Hell yeah. I have a copy of Croc. I always pronounce it as Gobos. I don't think I ever heard anyone say it out loud.
They apparently they're working on an HD remaster of that Croc game as we speak.
Nice. I have that on the Sega Saturn.
Well, Argonaut Games isn't working on it because they shut down in like 2004, but there is one being made, is my point. They had originally gotten hired by Fox to make like a video game that would appear in the movie Alien Resurrection. That is a game called Atom Zone.
Yes.
That appears for like 1.5 seconds near the beginning of the movie.
Which and makes plenty of cameo appearances in this video game too.
Sure does.
That game did look very Star Foxy, didn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of did, yeah. And but Fox was impressed enough with their work on Atom Zone that they hired them to make an actual real game that would actually be released in stores in real life. And that started them taking over 3 years to make the game, because it was originally supposed to come out to coincide with the movie.
Right,
but,
which would have made the most sense.
But the problem is that development got restarted from scratch either 2 or 3 times. That's why the game took like 4 years to make. The original version was some kind of like side-scrolling jump-based platformer game that I think was more like a proof of concept rather than like a this is what the game is going to be.
Okay.
And then very quickly they moved to the second phase, which was a like top-down shooter.
Yes.
And they worked on that for a while, like over a year. And then they were like, yeah, this isn't working. And so they overhauled the game to basically be what the game is now, but in third person rather than first person. And they very explicitly stated that it was Tomb Raider, but a survival horror game with xenomorphs.
Jeez.
And when they started working on that, something like a third of the studio quit in protest over having like over a year of work scrapped for basically no reason. Then they got invited to a private screening of the film, and they walked out of the film extremely disappointed that Atom Zone wasn't really in it. And also
just the only reason.
Well, and also just extremely disappointed because they thought the movie was really bad. And so they were like, oh no, what are we going to do now?
Fuck.
And so they started like the third person, like Tomb Raider version of the game started having a lot of problems with like, you know, slowdown and frame rate issues. And they couldn't get the xenomorphs to look very good because of like how many like polygons the Ripley character took up. And so just on a whim, somebody switched the camera to first person just to like do some debugging, and it solved like almost all of the technical problems they were having with working on the game. And they went, aha, this is what the game was supposed to be to begin with, and it took us this long to figure it out. So basically the third person version of the game uses basically all of the assets that like the current version of the game is basically the third person version, but just in first person. They only had to tweak stuff rather than redoing everything from scratch. But yeah, when they made it first person, that's kind of like when everything, like all of the members of the development staff were like, aha, it finally clicks now. This is what it's supposed to be.
Okay. All right.
Let's see. Also, how we were talking earlier about that 2-stick control scheme that they probably invented.
Yes.
One of the developers has gone on record as saying that it's one of the first games to ever use it.
Right.
But I don't know why he said one of as opposed to the first, because I haven't found any evidence that any game before it used it.
Well, you could, I mean, it depends on how technical you're getting, because like Robotron 2084, like technically used twin sticks in the arcades, right? But it was a different kind of game. So yeah, it really depends on how big of a nerd this developer is or not.
A few different things that I was poking around at. Multiple of them said this game is believed to have invented that control scheme, and that's probably about as definitive of an answer as we can get. And also, as a brief side note, I believe you mentioned, Neil, on the live stream that the game is also compatible with a PlayStation mouse.
Bob, I think, announced.
Bob, okay.
Yeah, but I did read that in the instruction manual.
Well, apparently, more than one of the devs of this game have gone on record as saying that the intended, but not intended, the optimal way of playing the game is with the mouse rather than a controller.
Just like Duke Nukem 3D.
That's right.
All right.
I don't think I have anything else about the development other than the one big thing that was recently announced that we can get into later.
Yeah, let's hold on to that for a minute here.
But I don't think I have anything else about the development, so.
Okay. All of those sound like better games than this ended up being.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, dog.
Yeah.
I'm about to post a link in the Discord chat.
Sure.
So that you guys can check it out. It is a website that posted a bunch of screenshots of the third person version of the game. And I'm not going to lie, based on the screenshots, I would fucking play this game, dog. This actually looks really sweet.
Nice. I will say we had that same where they were attempting to make like Special Forces, Mortal Kombat Special Forces, a third person Tomb Raider knockoff, and they abandoned that.
Yeah.
We had those, speaking of Duke Nukem, those third person Duke Nukem games on the PlayStation that just played like ass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not convinced that this would have been a better game, but this screenshot here, this does look kind of sick. If it was way more action focused, like Loaded, I think was the game that got referenced on, that's referenced. Yeah. If it was like that, if it was like a xenomorphed version of Sega's Alien Syndrome, like hell yeah, that's an Alien knockoff anyway, right? And a fun,
that's right, like
top-down arcade twin stick shooter, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Tomb Raider thing is a bad idea, but that's because by the year 2000, the Tomb Raider games were also bad games at that point.
I think we mentioned on the live stream that this game came out like the week before the PS2 was released in North America also.
That's correct.
Yes, it did.
So it's a very late stage PS1 game.
It really is. This is, wait, can we download the prototype?
You certainly can. I don't know what you need to play it, but yes, it is possible to actually download and play it on your computer.
We're going to have to circle back to this. Anyway, sorry, getting off topic here.
It's good. You're good.
And I think this game had a lot of really great ideas that just didn't quite come together. I think being a game so late in development, like in the cycle of the original PlayStation, helped because they were able to do a lot of like, they were able to push a lot of things that you wouldn't have gotten like 2 or 3 years earlier when people were, you know, but like the game probably would have been served better if they had just moved development to the PlayStation 2. And
of course, if they did that, it
really,
probably would have come out like a year later than it already had, you know?
That's all right. I mean, it worked for GoldenEye, right? Didn't that game come out like 3 years after the movie?
Yeah, I think so, actually, now that you mention it.
Let's assume I'm correct on that. It makes a point for me.
Sure. Works for me.
So this company, so they're the ones who came up with the FX chip, Argonaut, right? Argonaut Games, you said?
That's the one, yeah.
And they were really pushing the boundaries of the Super Nintendo with that bad boy. They were definitely pushing the boundaries of what the PlayStation could do with this game to mixed results, I think. And I want to talk about some of those good things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I don't want to just tear this game apart. It doesn't really deserve that. There's a lot of fun mechanics in this, by which I mean, I talked about this on the live stream as well. When you're crawling through vents or like ducking down on the ship, depending on where you are in it, the rumble in the controller will actually change and get stronger or like more rhythmic or something, kind of like to denote like the movement of the engines.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very, very cool effect that I don't remember a lot of other PlayStation 1 games having, like that kind of rumble sensitivity to them where it really felt immersive like that. I mostly remember them just being like your generic rumble, you know,
for sure,
when you fire a gun or whatever.
Yes.
It's definitely got like it's definitely trying to do that the survival horror thing that Alien Isolation would go on and do much better later, where there's like a lot of dark corners. They give you a flashlight, right? The inventory system is kind of interesting where you can scroll through it very quickly and select things. The downside of that is that it ends up taking up 3 of your face buttons.
It sure does.
Which like I don't know. I feel like if we were in the PlayStation 2 era where analog stick controllers were the default, that stuff would have gone to like to the D-pad, right?
Yeah,
but
probably.
This is still using D-pad for movement because not everybody has a DualShock, right? So, and I couldn't find any ways to like remap the controls either, really. Although I'll admit I didn't dig too deep for it, so like maybe the option's there. But in any case, there's no option for a jump button, and it desperately needs one of those, and it desperately needs a run button too. But I'll shut up about that finally.
I mean, you can not shut up about it. It's fine. We got to talk. We got to talk about something during this episode.
I know, but I was trying to hit like some good points for it. The other like interesting, like the jump scares do get you right, and it does a good job of making the Xenomorph feel like a formidable foe. It's not the same as you get in Fireteam, where you're just like a badass Marine with top of the line gear, and you can just mow down like 400 of them in a level. Like you do really feel like the odds are against you playing this game, especially when those little fucking face huggers get out. They're so fucking hard to hit. Some of the levels, they throw like 5 of them at you at a time. And if one of them gets you, it puts you on a clock where you will get chest bursted if you don't find an auto dock and remove the thing from you. That is a very cool, very immersive and like tense gameplay element.
Yeah, I think that's a very cool mechanic. Yeah,
I hated it, but like it was cool. You know what I mean? Like it was stressful. So like they were really going for some like deep immersion and like really trying to make this a scary game, and in a much more like successful way than something like Alien Trilogy did, which I'm going to compare because it's a first person shooter based on the same film franchise released on the same consoles just several years earlier. That game doesn't immerse you in alien stuff the way that this one does. Like Resurrection does a better job of like the immersive parts, but Trilogy I think does a better job overall because this game just feels so generic with everything being the same hallways over and over again, and the navigation being weird and just I don't know. This game gets stale very quickly.
I like on the Alien Isolation DNA that you can see is the part where the newborn is after you, and you can't kill it outright. You can like stun it, and it drops on the ground, but it's still going to get up and follow you. So you kind of have to like constantly be moving.
Yeah,
that's a fun little touch.
When I played that earlier, I made 2 comparisons to 2 Resident Evil games that I didn't play. Instead of the Alien Isolation connection that you made. So that is a very good point. Like once that newborn shows up, it just follow you and you can't do anything about it. How much of the game did you play, Bob? Did you get very far?
Not very far at all.
Okay.
It was way too frustrating to play.
Yeah.
I got through the first level, and then after that I was like, well, I watched you firsthand play it up through level 4 at least. So I think I've gotten about all I'm going to get out of this without throwing a pitcher of water on my computer.
Fair. Absolutely fair. Yeah. What did you think about like, I'm going to put you on blast here. I believe you emulated the game. What did you think about like the motion, the head bob, the speed, all of that kind of stuff?
So I think my emulator defaulted the control scheme to no analog sticks.
Okay.
So at first it was D-pad and then hold L1 to move hold L1 and hit the D-pad to move the camera around.
Okay. Cool. Wow.
And that seems like the craziest way to play this game.
That's insanity.
Yeah, Jesus. I don't like that at all.
I'm going to open this manual
so you can't look and move at the same time. You have to stop, hold L1, and then use the D-pad to look around.
God damn. And like movement is already such a slog in this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So then once I figured out I could default my emulator to having dual stick or dual shock, then it was playable. But I'm sorry, what was the original question about the emulation?
Oh, like I was asking about like the some of the other things they do, like the head bob when you move.
Oh, I wasn't bothered by it.
Okay.
I don't really play enough first-person shooters to like have in my mind what it's supposed to be like. So every time I come to one, it's always kind of like a new experience. So It didn't bother me. I'm sure if I was more like used to something different, it would stick out. But
yeah, it was an interesting feature. Again, I think them striving for immersion, right? They were really going for it in this. Like I played a lot of other FPSs that came out around the same time. You know, I spent a lot of time on like Quake 2 and Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament and whatever else. Oh, a hell of a lot of Half-Life, of course. And those games don't really have that. So this was like the first time I noticed seeing something like that in a game. And it has just kind of become more of a standard now where like you get some camera movement as your character's moving, right?
Yeah.
It was, I don't get motion sick playing games, but I was getting kind of like, it was fucking with me a little bit. Not going to lie. The head bob was a little much for me, but like I appreciated what they were going for. How about experiencing it firsthand, Bob, the actual pace of movement through the levels?
At first, I was fine.
Yeah.
And then once I got used to how fast you walked, all I wanted to do was run.
Right? God. Especially once enemies start coming at you and you need to like be able to move.
And you spend so much of that game just looking for a door that your key will open. So you just need to traverse as fast as possible.
You want to be able to like dash through that shit, right?
Yeah,
I know. And again, they took up the inventory navigation and using with 3 buttons. It is literally like square, triangle, and circle on your DualShock are all dedicated to scrolling through your inventory and using the item. And then X lets you crouch. That's the only like movement thing you can do outside of walking and looking is crouching.
Yeah. What was I did like that L3 was a quick 180.
Yes. Yeah, that can come in handy sometimes.
Good move.
That was nice.
Yeah. But R3 could have been the run button instead of being absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It's strange that it seems like this was something they cared about enough to the point where they, rebuilt the game 3 different times.
Right.
You would think that a lot of the things that feel overlooked wouldn't have been addressed.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At that point, they were so close to it, though, that they're able to beat the whole game with a pistol, and they think it's not going to be challenging enough for people. So
that's
like,
true.
they were just too close, right? Like at that point. I don't know. Maybe once you've restarted the project 3 times, you're like, it was like a Stockholm syndrome or something, right?
Yeah, probably.
I want to touch a little bit. I did make it a point when I played earlier to try to hit the moments from the movie that we liked, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think the big agreement that everyone loved, I believe all 3 of us loved the underwater scene swimming through the mess hall, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We didn't love the ladder scene immediately afterwards, but we did love the mess hall underwater scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they sucked a lot of the fun out of that to turn it into a video game, where you are just sort of diving in and out of water and swimming down hallways to pop up into other rooms, to flip switches, to open other doors that you can then swim down, to then swim up into other rooms to hit switches. It just kind of goes like that. So to its credit, the swimming movement was actually pretty good. You could just sort of freely move in all directions. You would sometimes get hung up on things like trying to get through these doorways. You would sort of get hung up on the edge if you weren't lined up just right. And they had a sort of a pre-programmed animation for when you get out of the water. Like you still see it all in first person, but because there's no jump or climb or anything, they had like this automated way of like getting you out of the water when you reach a point where you can like back onto like the deck or whatever. And that all worked very well. And it did feel pretty seamless. And I appreciated that because I've tried to awkwardly jump out of water too many times in PlayStation video games.
I gotcha.
And like they did have a moment where you come up from one corridor, like into just a whole bunch of ovomorphs, like sprinkled all the way around. You like clearly like a reference to the scene from the movie. There's no big ladder that I got to anyway. I can't say I beat the section of the game, but I definitely saw like what they were referencing from the movie with all the ovomorphs, and it sucked. I mean, it was like not sucked like it was bad, but it was like, oh shit, I have to destroy all of these things. They are very hard to destroy in this game, and there's 20 of them.
Fair. That's fair.
But you do get the grenade launcher, which again lets you live out, Christie's last stand or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it didn't feel like you were playing that part of the movie. Like Xenomorphs would attack you underwater. They'd be kind of swimming around too. It just didn't have the same effect as the movie. But it was, I guess, nice to see it represented. All it did, though, was make me think about those moments in like other Alien video games where you come across the pilot in the bone ship, or all the moments in Alien Trilogy where we were like, hey, look, there's the escape pod from Alien 3. Hey, look, these are like the sleep pods in the Nostromo. Like all of the nods to the movie stuff and how fun all of that stuff was to see. And then how Alien Resurrection just doesn't really have any of those iconic, like the game or the movie, like they don't have those iconic sets, right?
Yeah,
those iconic like design elements that make you think, like that make you excited to see it in something like a video game, right? It just made me remember how generic most of Alien Resurrection really feels.
Yeah. I think I'll have to agree with that.
Either of you guys fuck with that underwater level with the cheat codes, or
nope?
Yeah. I watched you play it today.
You didn't miss much. The other moment I played, I wanted to make sure I got to was whatever version of the hive scene was going to be in this game, right? And so I think that starts right at the docking bay level, like right at the beginning, is Ripley like falling through a floor.
Sure.
And she lands in the hive. But unlike the big writhing mass of Xenomorph stuff that we see in the movie, and then the queen, you know, the giant ass queen, like giving birth and like writhing in pain, and Chucky's voice strung up in the wall, you know, like it was just like there were like 8 ovomorphs littered around and the body of a queen laying on the ground, and then like the 12-foot tall newborn just starts charging at you.
Cool.
And there was no like, it wasn't cinematic. It didn't build up to anything. It was just sort of like slapped together. And I was like, see, and again, that's a memorable set piece from Alien Resurrection. It's a disgusting one that we wish we didn't remember, but it's still memorable. And even the game was like, we're going to tone this way down and make it just unexciting.
Yeah.
There might have been a cutscene or something between levels that I missed that makes it better, but based on the intro and the ending of this game, I'm going to say probably not.
That's fair.
So then the newborn is just kind of chasing you through that level, and you can like shoot him, and eventually he'll kind of scurry away, and you can keep trying to push your way through the level, but it's also sucks. I don't know. The newborn model's all weird looking, and
it looked really bizarre.
It didn't look right.
Lame.
So the other thing I wanted to make sure I got to play was I wanted to see the Betty, right? I wanted to get off the fucking Auriga, get a new set, see the Betty, walk around those famous Betty, you know, the loading bay, right? The cockpit.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Those are all, again, there's no sets in this movie. So there's like nothing really for the video game to tap into to make interesting, but it's the last level in the game, and it's not bad. You do just sort of start walking through. You do get to go into the cabin, and you do get to see the video game in there. What's it called? I'm sorry.
Atom Zone.
Atom Zone. Yeah. Instead of being down in the loading bay where it was in the movie, it's instead in the cockpit.
Mm-hmm.
And the cockpit is rendered so badly also. Like it was another moment of like, this could have been like a fun, hey, it's like what's in the movie, but now I'm seeing it in the video game moment. But like, there was no, like they clearly just like pasted a texture of stars onto what would have been the glass of the cockpit. So it's all very staticky, and like, it doesn't look like you're looking out into space. You know, it looks like you've wallpapered your cabin with stars, like with stars wallpaper. It just looked really bad. The resolution was low. All the electronic components in this, remember how much trouble we had figuring out if things were switches we could switch, or just like set decoration, like electronic consoles. Yeah, that persists throughout the entire game. Even the Atom Smasher video game doesn't look that good. And like they made that game, you know?
They sure did.
So like that was like, hey, it's cool. It's the cockpit. This is kind of cool. Oh, everything looks terrible. Right. And then the way that level plays out, the newborn is again chasing after you on the ship. Eventually you get to crawl through some vents. There's a few moments that are kind of fun where you can see it trying to like get to places that it can't get to. Like you can like, kind of like see it through windows as it's trying to like climb towards where to get you and stuff, but it just can't do it. Mm-hmm. But then eventually you just find like a switch, and you hit the switch, and you just watch it as it like as the cargo bay doors open and it clings on for dear life before getting sucked out into space.
So, wait. So you're telling me that the one game or the one movie in the franchise that didn't kill the main alien by blowing it out of an airlock, the game version, they changed it so that it got blown out of an airlock?
Yes, it does not get sucked through a tiny hole in the window. You open the airlock and you suck it out.
That's so fucking funny, dude.
It sucks. And then, I'm not kidding you, Kenny, if you haven't seen this, I believe a scene plays of you then closing the door, walking to the cabin, looking at the Atom Smasher, whatever arcade game, where on the arcade game itself, on the arcade game screen, it says game over. And that's the end of the fucking game.
That actually rules really hard. That's so stupid. I'm like, I appreciate it. Respect.
And I think there's a cutscene of the newborn exploding in space, which is kind of cool, but not the same impact of like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So like the most memorable scenes from the movie are just done in really like lame versions in the video game. Like to the point where I'm like, why are we even doing this at all? You know, like they strove for so much immersion in the gameplay and like cranking up the fear and like the horror aspects of this and making it real challenging just to do like these kind of lame ass versions that don't feel rewarding at all, right? For like a video game tie-in. Like the selling point of like the Spider-Man 2 game for the PlayStation 2 was like, man, I'm going to fucking be Spider-Man, right? Like good licensed games make you feel like you're playing as the characters and in the moments from whatever movie or TV show or cartoon series there is, right? Like, but this is just, I don't know how this ended up feeling worse than watching Alien Resurrection, but somehow it did. That's how I feel. And I think I started by trying to be like, I want to say some nice things about this game. I'm not sure I have a lot of nice things to say about it, it turns out.
That's fine.
Well, it's 2024 currently, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the movie Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yes.
I do.
And, you know, like how old that movie feels right now?
Yeah, was that came out in what, 2019?
2020.
2020? Yeah. It's the last movie I saw before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what it would be like if you were playing this game in the year 2000, having seen the movie 4 years prior to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess props to them for sticking it out. You know?
Yeah, it's just like the game comes out and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I remember that movie. It was kind of a long time ago, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember Alien Resurrection.
Oh, I think the CG was pretty good in that one.
Got him.
That's what I did think at that time, you know.
Well, I mean, it was 1997. That's reasonable.
Sure. I think that's why I mentioned that Alien Resurrection was a movie I probably my second most watched of the whole franchise, because it had like the most recent special effects at the age where I was interested in watching these things for those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Game looks like crap though compared.
Yeah.
I mean, I will go on record that I think the game looks good for a PS1 game.
Yeah, I guess I should be a little nicer to it.
I mean, I really do think the game looks good for PS1. Like the models are, you know, crisp for PS1 definitions of crisp. I mean, like the areas all like look the same, but like you're able to distinguish between like floor, box, and wall, you know.
But you are not always able to distinguish between wall and door or wall and ladder.
Sure. But yeah, like I really do think like I said, I mean, looking at it now in 2024, PS1 graphics have like a ceiling, you know, but like for the time, I really do think this game did look pretty damn good for what they had to work with and what they were able to accomplish.
That's fair. Yeah. Again, I do think it was a very ambitious game. And giving all like the fits and starts they had with getting this thing going, like I think that they still did some pretty impressive, groundbreaking stuff. It's just a frustrating package. Like it just didn't come together in like a easily, like a fun to play package, right?
I get you.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe Kenny has some info on this also. But Neil, you played this on a physical copy, correct?
I did. I played it on my PlayStation 3. I have a disc version, legit.
Do you, Kenny? Do you have information about this legit copy of the game?
I sure do. A good probably 20% of my notes are just about this.
Nice.
Also, before I get into that, I just wanted to mention briefly during my research, I came across a YouTube video that the caption that the person that made the video uploaded it with was Alien Resurrection is the Dark Souls of PS1 exclusive FPS games released in 2000 that used the Alien license. And I was like, can't argue with that.
Honestly, can't argue with that. No.
But anyway, the other big thing, as Bob was teeing up, the other big thing the game is known for is that about maybe 2 months or so ago, it was discovered that the game contains programming in it that allows you to run burned games on a PS1.
That's right.
It was one of the programmers mentioned it in a video he recorded that was made by like this YouTube guy whose whole thing is that he talks about vintage games. And the guy came in here and like said, we put this in. And when asked why he was revealing it now, he was like, because if I were to die tomorrow, no one else would know this was in here, so no one would ever find out.
Yes, the YouTube channel is Modern Vintage Gaming, and the programmer something Piper.
Martin Piper. Yes, there it is. And according to his interview, it's in there because the game was originally planning on being a multi-disc game, and so they were trying to like bug test like the programming that allowed them to disc swap while the system was still on. So they did this thing to be able to bug test how that worked. Then the game got cut and shrunk down and only on one disc, and they just didn't remove that bug test functionality.
Okay.
Because of this information coming out, as you may imagine, the price of the game has skyrocketed on eBay.
Yes, it has.
Before the video came out, you were able to buy copies of it for roughly $20. As of last night, when I looked, the lowest price that I saw was $95, and the highest price was $360.
Yes, then the $95 one is disc and manual.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't have the case. And well, actually, to be fair, the highest one I saw was actually $800. But that was a still sealed and like numerically graded copy, like what they do with comic books and baseball cards.
Right.
Like it got graded and it was a 9.4. And so that game was $800. But like, that's a statistical outlier and doesn't deserve to be factored in. So therefore, the prices range between $100 and $350, give or take.
So I bought this game, PlayStation 1 Black Label CIB, in 2022. I paid $40 for it in fantastic condition. Right.
Nice.
And that's maybe overpaying a little bit. Right. But fine. I love Alien. I love collecting. We were going to do this episode. I was like, yeah, $40. Sure. Should I sell it now?
Well, you'd be making more than $40 for it. That's for sure.
I think I'm going to hold on to it. I think I have to.
Yeah. I mean, no real reason to sell it,
I think basically what I need to do is never pay for another PlayStation game again.
That is correct.
Right. Just buy some CDRs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have not tested this because it would require me like getting out my actual PS1, right?
I watched the video. It's a lot of steps too. There's a lot of things you got to do.
One of the things I was reading, they were playing I believe they were playing an emulated version of it, and even in the emulated version, you can still do it. But they were like, since I'm not playing on a physical system and don't have the disc, I couldn't like change discs or anything, but I was able to do all of the commands correctly to get to the disc changing screen. I just wasn't able to continue. But Bob, you mentioned how complicated it is. The code you have to actually input to do the burn games thing was summed up by a Reddit user named Messem10. This is how he summed it up. You enter the cheat code menu, or you enter the cheat menu code, then the granule level select code. Enter yet another code after that. Then you select level 6, section 1. Then you hold L1. Then you switch games while holding L1. Then you also start holding triangle and square. Then you have to release all 3 of the buttons, and then the new game will boot up.
Interesting.
Someone else also said that because of the anti-piracy copy protection that's built into the PS1, you have to physically jam something into the PS1 systems, the eject sensor built into the tray, because when you open it, it'll think that it'll fuck everything up. So you have to physically jam something into there as well in order to make it work, or else it won't. But yeah, suffice to say, I can see why after over 20 years no one ever discovered this, because I cannot imagine somebody stumbling across that by accident, and
nobody wanted to mess around with this game long enough to figure out anything like that. I could see the only case where I might do that is if I wanted to play imports. I don't really care about burning games or whatever, but also that's a lot of buttons to press and shit to do for.
Sure is.
I don't know, man. I got a boot disc for my Dreamcast. It's real easy, guys.
Yep, I bought the imported version, the European import version of Shenmue 2 for the Dreamcast, because for all you listeners out there, Shenmue 2 was released on the Dreamcast and I believe the Xbox in Europe, but it was only released on the Xbox in the US, so I had to import the game to play it on the Dreamcast. And the store that I bought it from, when I bought it, he gave me a Dreamcast boot disc to go with it for free.
I bought my copy of Shenmue 2 from the Louvre in Paris, or from the Virgin Megastore outside the Louvre in Paris. They didn't sell copies of Shenmue at the Louvre, I should be clear.
I mean, they probably should have.
And then I did burn a Utopia boot disc to play it, but now I have a DCX, which is like a retail version of. It's just an import bootloader, which is nice. Yeah, I don't know why we're talking about that now, but hey,
it's fine.
Shenmue's fun.
It is. That's correct.
Bob, how do you feel about the Shenmue games?
Never laid hands on controller for one. I've watched a lot of YouTube, but I've never actually played one.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Is it something I would like?
It is a better game than Alien Resurrection.
All right, Bob, I want you to imagine in your mind a Yakuza game and then make it slower and more boring, but still with the same amount of stuff to do. That's what Shenmue is.
Yeah. Hey, I feel like it's just it's a not funny version of Yakuza.
Yeah, it is
not intentionally funny in any case. There's still some funny shit in it.
It's basically the beta version of Yakuza. They had an idea and they tried it, and then they tried that idea again a second time, and the second time worked way better. That's basically what it is.
They're adventure.
You're looking for a Chinese guy. Is that what it is?
That is correct. Chinese Lan Di killed your father. Okay, get it right.
You are looking for a Chinese guy. Sometimes you're looking for sailors. Sometimes you're looking for sailors. Yeah. You're looking for a job.
Yeah, you have to. There's a very famous part near the end of the first game where you have to get a job driving forklifts, and they make you drive the forklift in real time for like 3 days worth of shifts before the game finally continues.
But also, and you start every morning with a forklift race around the docks.
Yep, that's also correct.
That game is fun. Talk about innovative in ways Alien Resurrection only wishes it could have been. No forklift racing in this game.
That is correct. There is not. I don't think there is a forklift in sight in this game.
No, just a lot of hollow, empty halls. Right.
I'm the guy designing spaceships where you have the key code override it 3 stories away in the ship. You have to go through a maze to get to the override.
Yes. Well, part of the security is we're going to have several identical ladders You're not going to know which one is the right one.
See, that right there, that's some classic ass Resident Evil shit, though. I hear that and I'm like, that's game design in the 90s, baby.
I'm not sure I got a whole lot more left to say about this thing. I guess we could talk a little bit about the weapons and how useless most of them are.
All right.
If we want, like, one thing I like is that since between levels, you're jumping around as different people, right? So like sometimes you're playing as Ellen Ripley, I think most of the time, but sometimes you play as Call. One level you're Christy, and one level you're DeStefano.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you switch characters, you're in different locations of the ship. Inventories don't carry over, right? So you do have to and you only get certain weapons on certain levels. And the shotgun's about the only one worth using, right?
The main thing that bothered me with the weapons is Doom really nailed early, as far as early game design, weapons sounds,
yes,
giving them weight.
Yes. And
this game said, all right, we're going to go a different way. The laser gun is going to sound like a ringtone from 1996.
Yeah.
All the guns just sound bad.
The M41A pulse rifle is in the game. It does not sound like the M41A pulse rifle.
It sure doesn't.
It just sounds like generic machine gun, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To the point where I didn't realize it was the same gun until I compared it with my Nerf version.
Which I believe you showed off on the live stream, if I recall.
I did. And then the Nerf one also does not sound like the M41A, but...
Well, I would imagine.
James Cameron has a copyright on that sound effect, I guess. Yeah, so there's like a shotgun. You get the electric gun late in the game, which is pretty fucking useless, but that's like what the guards had on the Auriga, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they shock Ripley with when she's strangling one of the doctors.
Yeah.
There's a flamethrower that again is also useless. I think we sort of posited on the live stream maybe it would be good against facehuggers or ovomorphs. It's not. It's just bad all around.
Yeah, I was reading in one of the interviews with one of the devs, they said that the flamethrower was designed not to fight xenomorphs with, but to like crowd control and clear out rooms that have ovos in them.
Gotcha. All right. I guess it did okay at that, but it felt pretty useless in any case. Then there's like a grenade launcher, a rocket launcher, which is kind of fun. And then a laser, which you can get the laser early in the game if you find it, I think, in level 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing is pretty much just a delete button, but it sounds like crap, like you were saying, Bob. It sounds real fucking puny.
Pew, pew.
Yeah, and I don't know. Nothing to get excited about in the weapons. Nothing to get excited about with playing as the different characters either, because they're all exactly the same. They all move at the same pace and control the same way and can only crouch and casually walk places, and doesn't make you feel more immersed in the game. I don't know what the purpose was, but
yeah, well,
while we're at it, I guess I should go over the voice cast. We have Lonnie Minella as Ellen Ripley. I don't remember her speaking a whole lot in the game. Teresa Rizzo as Annalie Call.
Mm-hmm.
Raymond Cruz returns as Vinny DeStefano. Did we know his first name was Vinny in the movie episode?
I didn't.
I don't think so.
Well, his name is Vinny.
Gary
Dordan returns as Gary Christie. Feels like they just gave him that name for the video game as well. And Stephen Gilborn, Stephen Gilborn reprises his role as the voice of Father, which is the voice you hear the most in this game, is ship's announcements from Father.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all fine. Again,
yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
Fine. It's fine.
This game is frustrating because it's so close to being something good, but it just wasn't able to get there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I have a lot more to say about this thing.
Bob, you got anything else?
No, I don't. I think we covered everything that I can think of.
Are you gonna are you like jonesing to play more of this game?
I gotta get back on the Auriga.
We gotta get this podcast over with, because I gotta fucking blow that newborn out of that airlock.
If nobody else has anything, I have 2 more pieces of my notes that I wanted to mention, and then I'll be done.
Let's do it.
While I was poking around, I came across a bunch of different websites actually that had Game Shark codes for this game.
Okay. Is there like a big head mode, or can you like unlock Bill and Hillary Clinton as playable characters like NBA Jam?
I like big head mode for a first-person game.
I didn't see anything like that. It's mostly just like the standard codes of like all guns, infinite health, et cetera, et cetera. But there was one Game Shark code for the game that was called Joker Command.
Oh shit. Uh-oh.
And I have no idea what that means or what it does, but I was definitely imagining that activating it gave all the Xenomorphs Joker makeup, and that really made me laugh.
Dude, that's so twisted.
I'm extremely confident that that's not what it is, but I decided that if I don't look it up, I can pretend that that is correct. So I'm not going to look up what Joker Command actually is.
Yeah.
One of the other sites called it the Max Reverse Joker Command, which is an even funnier name.
All right.
And the last thing I had is I wanted to go over some reviews for this game.
Yeah.
I went on to Metacritic, and there are 5 reviews for this game.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know that a couple of them I edited for clarity or length, or in one case, comedic effect. Gian96 said something in Spanish that I didn't know because I don't know Spanish, but Google Translate, or as I wrote in my notes, Google Granslate, good work, tells me that what he said was good atmosphere, but very unfair. Gian96 gave it a 6.
Okay.
Benya MXN said, my first exposure ever to graphic violence in a video game. Very moody and scary. Benya MXN also gave it a 6.
To that point,
okay,
I do want to touch on the atmosphere. He's onto something here. We didn't talk about how there are bodies just sort of littered everywhere that have been like ripped open by xenomorphs in various ways. Mm-hmm. And you can shoot the bodies and make blood spray all over the walls. If you're into that kind of thing, it is pretty fun. Also, I did it once, but I wasn't able to ever repeat it. I did shotgun a guy's head off.
Nice.
But
yeah,
that seemed more like a bug than like a feature because I couldn't get it to happen again.
How I mentioned earlier that this game has a better reputation and like is more highly regarded than the actual movie.
Yeah.
The 2 biggest like points of praise that the game gets are its scariness and its atmosphere. So,
okay.
But anyway, FIN Gamer, it says Fin Gamer, but FIN is capitalized and Gamer isn't.
Sure.
So Fin Gamer says, I used to get nightmares after playing this, an underrated forgotten gem of the PS1 era.
Okay.
Gave it a 10.
All right. Go off, Fin Gamer.
Elite 4 said, excellent adaptation of Horrible Gain. That was his typo, not mine. He wrote GANE.
Okay.
Excellent adaptation of Horrible Game. Gave it an 8.
Wait. Excellent adaptation of a horrible game. Does he think that, was he maybe rating the movie, thinking the movie was an adaptation of this video game?
I don't know, but that's what he wrote.
Because I will say, I think the movie is a pretty damn good adaptation of this video game.
Yeah, it's definitely better.
Definitely.
And finally, Big Boss MX said probably the best FPS for PSN or PS1.
Wow.
What a game. Yeah, probably the best FPS for PS1. What a game. Does anyone want to guess what his numerical rating is?
4.
Yeah, 5, something like in the middle.
He gave it a 0, folks.
Oh no.
Jesus.
I guess he forgot that you also have to put a numerical rating in.
Damn, he fucked up. He's bringing the whole curve down. Somebody get him on the line. Hey, what's his name?
Big Boss MX.
Everyone knows Big Boss MX on Metacritic. Let him know. All right.
Yeah, but I was really laughing about excellent adaptation of horrible game. That was very funny to me.
Did you happen to get the famous GameSpot review of the game?
I did not. No, I just pulled those from user reviews off of Metacritic.
Okay, yeah. GameStop famously gave it a poor rating, and from their review from October 5th, 2000 by Stephen Garrett. In the review, he says, the game's control setup is the most terrifying element. The left analog stick moves you forward, back, and strafes right and left, while the right analog stick turns you and can be used to look up and down.
I know. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, man. Hey, I wonder how he feels when that shows up in games now. Do you think his peers remind him?
Yeah.
Halo, like when the new Halo drops.
Yep. Somebody pointed out that 1 year later, that exact same control scheme was used in Halo to massive effect. And I was like, damn, that only came out a year after this game did.
Jesus. Halo also famously in development for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And also has some pretty generic environments that it's easy to get lost in.
I mean, I don't think I've ever even played Halo, so I can't really contribute to that discussion. So I'll believe you.
It's a little better than this game. It's a tad better.
All right.
Hold on. The last line of the review of Stephen Garrett's review is, fans of the console first-person shooters or the Alien film series will probably be better off waiting for Fox's recently announced Aliens Colonial Marines.
And that was in 2000 he wrote that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Colonial
you are
Marines,
so wrong
for all
on
you
every
listeners,
level.
for all you listeners out there, Colonial Marines, not only was it notoriously bad, but that game came out in 2013, folks.
My God. Ugh. This guy. What else has he reviewed?
There are no recent activities for Stephen Garrett.
Dude had his career erased after that. I think the last thing I want to say about this game is that you could see like a different version of this if they had cracked this idea sooner rather than switching gameplay types, if they had a little bit longer to cook, if they hadn't been like tied to specifically Alien Resurrection, if they were just trying to make an Alien game, so they had like as much time in the development cycle as they needed. They weren't worried about, we got to get this out within 5 years of the movie. This could have been like the definitive Alien game that captures like the action and the suspense and the horror and the survival aspects,
for sure.
But it just, again, seemed really ambitious for a PS1 title. Just didn't really land, but it's got more immersive and more interesting mechanics than like some of the Alien versus Predator games that I've played that are also first person shooters, right? It's got a lot of like early DNA of something like Alien Isolation that really puts the focus on the survival aspect as opposed to combat. It's a bunch of good ideas that honestly, it might just be dragged down by its involvement with Alien Resurrection, which was a movie with a bunch of bad ideas.
It sure was.
Like, this isn't even a game that I could say, like, if you're an Alien, sometimes if you're a fan of a series, right, you're like, oh, I'm even going to play the bullshit and I'm going to love it, right? Because it's like, I've played Mortal Kombat Special Forces. I don't think it's the worst Mortal Kombat game. It's not very good, but it ain't the worst Mortal Kombat game. And I spent a lot of time playing that game. I'm a big Alien fan, and I cannot recommend playing this game to anybody.
Now, again, to all you listeners, take that with a grain of salt, because like I mentioned earlier, or like we all mentioned earlier, generally speaking, this game is relatively highly regarded. So,
sure. But yeah, I didn't have a good time with this. I had fun time hanging out with you guys while we played it,
For sure.
Yeah.
But I didn't have fun on my own with the game. So
I still remember fondly when during one of the levels, I think it was like the second or third one maybe, and one of your missions was that you had to go and kill all of the other clones on the level, and you walked into one of the clone rooms and you're like, nope, not showing this, and so you brought up a big window and like covered part of the screen so we couldn't see what you were doing.
Yeah, I didn't like seeing the clone on the table. That wasn't fun, man.
That was very funny to me.
And we never found the other ones either, did we? That was
sure didn't.
That was basically where we got stuck.
Yeah, it was you wandering around trying for like 20 minutes or something, looking for the other rooms and not finding it, that it eventually made you go, you know what, I'm just going to use level select. I don't care anymore.
And Bob getting mad at me because I kept going up and down the same ladder. You're like, don't go up that ladder again, dude.
He's like, I'm mentally memorizing that ladder just to be able to tell you not to go up it again.
Fun times. Go watch that on our YouTube channel. It's in the Xeno Gaming playlist, youtube.com/@crewexpendable. And I don't know. I think I'm good. You guys good?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else.
Bob, what are you up to? What do you got going on?
Hey, just doing a little bit of podcasting over at workatmydadslawfirm.com on the Flock podcast.
Yeah, go listen to the Flock podcast, everybody.
Doing a little video game streaming on my Twitch channel at www.nastyfairy.com.
That's right.
Or twitch.tv/respectablestreet.
Yeah, I'll put links to those in the show notes as always. Kenny, where can people find you on the internet if you want them to?
I'm on Twitter and Blue Sky under the handle @CYHOBBEZ. Neil, how about you?
I'm everywhere online where I'm anywhere at Final Neil. That's Neil with an A. Get it right, people.
Got him. That showed them.
I don't know. Yeah. Even talking about this game has worn me out. Where can people find the show on the internet?
Our Twitter handle is @CrewExpendapod. Our Blue Sky is @CrewExpendable. Our Instagram is @CrewExpendablePod. Our website is crewexpendable.net, and you can send us an email at mother@crewexpendable.net. And finally, to once again plug that YouTube that you just mentioned to Neil, that is youtube.com/@CrewExpendable.
Once again, shout out to Tom Dorrington for our new podcast art. Go over to crewexpendable.net, guys. Got a little redesign. You can see the artwork there. It's fucking rad. Follow Tom on Instagram at art_of_womtez, WOMTEZ. I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes as well. Thanks again, Tom, for the absolutely fantastic Cooler Bot artwork. I don't know what else to say about it. It rules.
It's cool.
I feel very bad for him. He looks extremely scared, and I'm like, oh no, my little guy.
Coolerbot not having a great day in that picture, but hey, that's what this series is all about. The thrills and the chills, right?
That's true. I mean, very few people make it out alive, so I guess I can't blame him for being scared.
Yeah. Go subscribe to the Flock podcast. Bob, thanks again for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week. Probably Descendant issue 4 is out. I think that might be our next episode. Otherwise, we'll be back with something.
We'll figure it out.
Until then,
stay frosty.